Welcome back, Latinas in Transformation. We are so excited to have you all back in this episode. I hope that you guys have everything that you need so you can stay present with us. And we're actually going to go ahead and dive deep, y'all, about spring cleaning and what it's like to actually have a social media break. Like, what? Like, who is really doing that nowadays? But guess what? We have been implementing some of that, and a lot of our journeys have looked completely different. But we want to kind of address why we're doing this as well, right? And how it's been showing up in our lives and the benefits of all of this when we're spring cleaning and also having a digital detox. So, ladies, how are you guys showing up in this energy of spring cleaning and having like a digital detox? Because in the world that we live in right now, technology is just booming, it's growing, it's evolving at all times. And we're all like stuck in our phones, because that's where we're getting the latest deeds and information and cheeseman, all the teams. So how are you guys managing all of that? Have you guys found yourself to be overwhelmed, or like what's your current journeys right now?
And I guess I'll start since I don't have social media.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
As of how long now?
No, did I remove my Instagram in February?
It was in
Was it
February.
February? Okay, so
Or
now
was it late January, February?
I think it was February. I think
Okay,
it was
February.
probably like the second week of February. And
Yes, actually.
where it's May. So yeah, I love it. So,
Yes.
I think it's also part of the reason why I love it is because my Instagram was only for business related purposes. So, I never had a personal Instagram.
Mm,
So, when I started on Instagram, it was only for business. And so, it's not like I ever posted anything about my personal life or anything. Well, I kind of did on my business one, but like here and there, it was just like a little. And at the beginning of leaving Instagram recently, I did miss it a little bit because it was something that kind of consumed me in terms of like I was posting content every day, I was showing up on stories every day. I was definitely just consumed by it. And then so it definitely took a while to kind of get used to not having that be part of my life. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, I love it. It reminds me of before I didn't have Instagram, right? Before I started my business, I never had social media. I was just kind of like living my life and like doing my own thing. So it's been really nice to not be on social media. But I think part of the reason, so I was thinking about like how I feel emotionally and like in my nervous system, and I'm like, well, I feel
mhm.
pretty regulated and I don't feel like I need to be like catching up. Like, I don't have like that FOMO that maybe
Yeah.
I would have. But then I'm thinking I didn't have social media before either. So then I'm like, "Oh, I don't think that's true." So sorry, I'm just like thinking about all of these different things of like what is making it easy for me to not be on social media. But part of it is really that I feel spacious. Like I feel like
Mm.
it's just like given me time to focus on other things, right? I don't have to like think about creating content 24/7. Like the only content that I create for my business really is my podcast. And so that's something that I look forward to. And then now I have time to do other things. Like you guys know that I love doing nothing and I love, like having like just living a really slow life. And so I feel like I get to do more of that and just like honor myself and do, I don't know, like read or I don't know, just do things that maybe I wasn't doing before.
No, I love that. And I think that's a key thing too, like asking ourselves what quality of life we really, really want, because social media is very good with telling us how our lives should be, and it's dictating it on the low if you're not paying attention, right? If you're not practicing constant discernment or know your values and stay firm with it. But I think it's really good that you were able to take the step back, especially like I can only imagine too in the beginning, because y'all, if you didn't follow Tatiana, like in Instagram. She had really amazing content, all right? So very, very amazing content and whatnot. And I'm sure like even that habit, like as you said, at first it felt kind of uncomfy, but then you noticed there was like some sort of like space that was created, like this liberation feeling from what it sounds like. And I think that many of us have lost touch with that because we're so consumed by social media and based on all of that, right? And how it's telling us to live our lives, quote unquote. But I think that's amazing, Tati. And you look very fresh. You look very relaxed. You look very like just more in tune with your life. And you were already in tune with your life, but I just feel like there's more groundingness in that energy as you were explaining all of that. I felt it. I felt it.
Think for me, I'm in a battle right now with social media. Like I don't want to be a part of it, but I do. It's almost like that mindfulness again, where you're just like, oh, it's automatic. You turn on your phone and you go to Instagram. So I've tried to retrain my brain, but I still need some type of entertainment. And so I now just turned into YouTube short stories. And
Hmm.
so that's a bit more, I feel like that's more one, educational, but two, fun. I don't know, I like to follow like food stuff, so like making cakes or coming up with new recipes, and it's all in like this short video. And so to me that's entertaining. But when it comes to Instagram, I've been trying to battle this, like, I don't know, there's something that just doesn't, I'm not showing up for my business account and I don't know why, but I think it's because there's just so much out there. And it's so, I think you mentioned this a bit, Edie's, like it takes you away from like where you're at right now. And for
Hmm.
me, I kind of just, I don't want to waste my time on a platform when I like Tati, I could be using my creativity elsewhere, or I could be enjoying in the moment. A lot of my time when I would post personal stuff, I was like, sharing my experience and whatever it was, but forgetting to be present in that moment of whatever I was doing. And so I didn't want to like distract myself anymore. I think that's what it
Hmm.
is. I don't want to distract myself. I want to be present and grounded. And although many times we may feel firm in our values and in who we are, you can't help but get like, what's the word?
Distracted, like you
Yeah,
said. It's that
distraction.
distraction. Hmm.
And I guess that's what I'm avoiding, the distraction. And I don't know how to get over that hump because I do want to be part of that society, right? Like of Instagram or whatever, especially like getting to know other like-minded people, or I don't know, that topic of like women's health, right? I love reading about that stuff, but it's hard to show up when I know deep down that that's just a distraction to something that else that I could be working on.
Hmm.
So I am honestly still working on my balance. I pop in here and there just to see who messaged me or support my friends, but I'm not, and I don't know. I allow myself only like maybe twice a week, if that, but
Yeah.
I try to limit myself currently.
You should give yourself so much kudos though, because even that, right? Like limiting yourself and knowing that you're only going twice a week, that's a huge step in the right direction, I feel. And I think sometimes we don't acknowledge those baby steps because let's be real, like technology is now the way that the world is moving more and more towards. And it's so hard to not be a part of it because if we're not a part of it, then in some ways we feel a little bit left behind, especially with those of us who are trying to build a business or want to be noticed more or want to connect with people more and all that other stuff, right? Like technology is that like shortcut. It's that wave where it's like we can have access to all these different avenues all in just like one place or in our computers, right? So I totally hear you, Lupe, because finding the balance is hard and you're right. Maybe it's not that we're not standing firm in our values, but it's more of that distraction piece, right? Like what is keeping you distracted? What's not allowing you to stay focused on what it is that you need to do? And that answer is going to vary from person to person, and everybody knows what their own capacity is going to be and how they can navigate it. But even just you sharing that and your raw honesty, because I think a lot of us, we do struggle with the social media pool and doing a detox or just being off the gram because then when we're sitting with ourselves, like we kind of don't know what to do with ourselves anymore or how to redirect the focus in different ways to tap into different ways of creativity. Like you said, like what is the other alternatives and ways? And I think a lot of us are still exploring that. And I think that where you're in right now is such a great space because you're like, although you mentioned earlier, like, oh, I'm still kind of figuring it out, like, you're in your exploration phase. And I think that that's a really good way to know, like, what works for Lupe, right? Because what works for Tati works for Tati. What works for Edie's works for Edie's. But what works for me? Like, what do I want to do as I keep honoring the times that I do show up on social media for twice a week, right? And also understanding our habits of when we're in social media. Like, do we doom scroll? Like, what happens when we're in that space, right? And not in a place of like, not trying to judge ourselves. It's more of, let's have some self compassion and grace here, because obviously, like, our brain sees something and it's just like, ooh, okay. Like, it just wants to scroll and scroll and scroll. But it's good to just pick up those habits and patterns to see, like, how do I then retweak it to then feeling good about how I want to navigate things and understanding myself better. So I feel like you just shared a lot of gems that a lot of people will connect with, because again, like, it's not as easy as we make it seem, right? Great to pull away from social media and to just live presently and do all the things. Like, living presently can feel really, really hard.
Mhm.
Staying focused can sometimes be hard. Understanding ourselves and re-exploring on what it is that we want in these seasons is hard. So you just nailed a bunch of different things that I know a lot of listeners are going to be like, thanks, Lupe, for sharing that. I'm not the only one going through that. So I just wanted
I feel
to
like
acknowledge
people
that.
are going to say the same thing about what you just shared, because I feel like you just shared a lot of gems too. I feel like you both did, but I feel like Edie's like, I feel like you're also just like throwing out like gems of like, yeah, what works for one person isn't going to work for another person. And it is about being gentle with ourselves and having compassion for ourselves, and like just being aware of like when we are doom scrolling and all of the things that you just said. I also think that I can share some of the things that I did when I was on social media, because even though social media consumed me, it didn't consume me in the way of like I was never doom scrolled. I didn't compare
Girl,
myself to
we
people.
need to get to your level.
And the way that it consumed me was actually I was kind of like a content machine. That's the way that it consumed me, and, like, I was constantly thinking of, like, what content am I going to create? What am I going to post? All that's sort of how it feels like for me it consumed me, but I had really good boundaries with social media in terms of, like, doom scrolling. And also, I think that when I first started Instagram, so this Instagram that account that I just deleted in February, that was my second Instagram account. I had created another Instagram account when I first joined the world of Instagram, and then I was sort of like just feeling it out. I didn't know what I was doing with my business, and I was sort of like following a lot of people. It was kind of like a follow for follow kind of thing. And once I deleted that Instagram and started my brand new one, I remember being super intentional about it, and I was like, "I am not going to follow a lot of people," and I don't know if the 2 of you, like, noticed, but I only followed, like, 100 people on
Yeah,
Instagram,
I remember.
and my block game is so good, my block game is so good, and, like, my unfollow game is so good, because I felt like this was my space, not to be confused with MySpace.
Oh, the good old days.
You're old enough to know what
I
MySpace
know,
is.
yes.
Well, I know the 2 of you are, but, like, the listeners
If MySpace existed, you guys would be my top friends, 100%.
top 10, top
Yes.
15. But I did kind of treat it in that way of, like, this is kind of my own, and I want to be intentional about who follows me and who I follow, and so I never followed other people who did the same exact thing as me, because I wanted my content to come from me, and maybe if I did post something similar to another person, I know that it came from my brain and my like, what I was feeling, not
Yeah.
because I saw it somewhere, and so, like, I wanted to be intentional about the things that I was creating, and I also didn't want to, like, get in my head of, like, "Oh, this person is posting XYZ, maybe I should do that." So I was very intentional about who I followed, and also so I created content more than I was consuming content.
Mhm.
That
So
makes
I was
sense.
when I was on Instagram, it was for a purpose. It wasn't so that I am just, like, taking in information, like, scrolling, right? And if I was scrolling, I was, like, looking for audios, or I was, like, being very intentional about how I used it, and I think that I mean, maybe you're not a business owner listening to this, but you can still this still applies to you and like thinking about how you can use social media more
Yes.
intentionally. So I remember I would watch a lot of like puppy videos, a lot of kitten videos, a lot of
Those are
like
my fave.
funny videos. It had nothing to do with my business because I wanted it to be a space again where I wasn't like comparing myself and I didn't want to be in my head about things, right? Like I wanted
Yeah.
to just create, spend time on social media and have fun with it and like have very firm boundaries around like the way that I used it. And so I think that if doing like a full detox sounds like stressful or is like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do that,
Very.
then just begin to look at the people you're following, the people who are
Mhm.
following you. Can you do a little detox there first, right? And then can you just be more strategic or intentional about how you what you're consuming, right? And again, as a business owner, if you want to take that advice and borrow that of like create more than consume, I think that is really strategic as a business owner because then you're not comparing yourself to other people. You're just kind of like staying in your lane kind of thing.
I
That
love that. Yeah, that's so helpful. And I think the key words there was intentional strategy,
Mm,
right? Like I really kept hearing that. And again, like it doesn't have to be for business or for just personal, like it can integrate with either one. And I feel like what you just shared is very powerful because, again, like those are strategies on how to stay on social media while also kind of, decreasing the comparison, the self doubt, the doom scrolling, all that other stuff that can come up when we're on social media like all the time. So I felt like that was really, really good, Tati. Like you dropped a lot of gems there too. Yeah. And I think for me and my journey, I've taken it just baby steps, honestly. Like I started not going on social media on the weekend because of that. Like I noticed the patterns that were showing up when I was on there because I would go in, create content, do all that stuff, but then my mind would want to lurk around and be like, oh, what's so and so up to? Like, is my content just as good? Or like what's wrong with me? Am I not being X, Y, and Z? Like that comparison mode was becoming so strong that I started noticing how my own mental health was shifting and how my energy started feeling more drained and whatnot. And I knew that something needed to happen that was different. So I started off baby steps and I still do this now where I'm getting off of social media on the weekends. I don't post Saturday and Sunday. That's my goal, except for this past weekend because I was at an event and I
mhm,
just felt like I was such a high that I wanted to share what was going on in real time. But yeah, like I've noticed even just the shifts in that because I've been doing that now for a month now, and there's a huge shift of energy. Like I'm not as tired. I'm not doom scrolling. I'm not going on there for comparison. And if it does end up creeping up, I know that it's my time to shut it down. I'm like, oh, okay, like it's happening. I'm just going to work on content another day. Like, not today, no more. And honoring that. I think that's the biggest piece that I've learned along the way too is honoring when those feelings come up and not judging it. Because again, we're all human. We all want to be at the top of our game. We want to be noticed. We want to be acknowledge, we want to work with those ideal clients or we want those collaborations with certain people. But at the end of the day, it's slowing down because when you move with that intentionality piece, like you said, Tati, and also Lupe, just being aware on where our space, our mind, body, and spirit is when we are on those platforms and we're being radically honest and accepting the feelings that come up without shaming it or guilting ourselves, we can move differently. And I think that's where we can actually build more focus and intentionality as we start scrolling or as we're doing work on social media, or if we just want to post a fun little thing where we're like, I had
mhm,
such a great weekend. And if you truly feel that and you post it with the best intentions, how are you not going to get people to love that and feed into what it is that you want to feed other people, right? So that's been kind of my world with how I've been navigating it. And I feel like my next step would be maybe taking like a week off just to see how that feels, how my body feels with all that. But yeah, it takes time because even in the beginning when I tried it out, I naturally caught myself like knowing that, oh, I'm not going to go on Instagram, but sometimes I would press on the icon and be like, oh no, like it's a no social media day, like keep that there,
mhm,
right? Like so
mhm,
I had to learn different ways to navigate that, which I,
mhm.
fixed my folders and like hid it in other areas that my brain didn't automatically know where it was at. And if I had to go look for it, I was like, oh, Like, it's just me being mindful and regulating my body in that sense of being like, oh, it's okay. Like, I know you just want to go sometimes because we do that on autopilot and it's fine. But remember, like, we're not going to do that, right? So it took time to reprogram that. But I feel like I'm in a good space though now where I'm like, all right, I like not having it on the weekends and being present with my dog and my husband and going on walks and calling my mom and calling my siblings, going to a coffee shop and not thinking about anything else because we get to be more present with living our lives. And I think for me in the season that I'm in, that is more important. And even though I am trying to grow a business, I want more visibility and whatnot. But I'm like, you know what? If I'm already doing the smallest steps possible, like, how am I not going to get there at some point, right? Like, just the way that I've been reframing things have been so different. The way that I'm walking in life is different. And I feel that. And honestly, I really like that. So I'm like, I want to continue to give myself that peace and like the intentionality of how I'm living my life while also trying to grow something. So it's been a learning curve, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's been really supporting me. And that's kind of where I'm at with my old digital detox or staying away from social media when I can. But
At the end of the day, social media, was created as a marketing technique as well. So think about like
mhm,
when we walk down the street
yeah,
or you're going somewhere, you can't help but see ads, right? So they're always going to exist. It's always going to be there. It's a matter of, oh, is that going to attract my attention while I'm walking down the street? Like it's the
yeah.
same way, like, I don't know, you're walking down the street and like, are you going to pay attention to the ad or are you going to pay attention to where you're walking? I think that's also how to like look at it because we can't get it's their job to distract us.
Right, they want you to stay on the app longer.
Mhm.
Yes, that is the intention. That's what they want. Exactly. So just knowing that and being mindful, right? Like I think that is really helpful. And that's such a good analogy too, Lupe. Like at the end of the day, too, the way I look at it is like, what is it costing you if you look at the ad and not where you're going, right? Like that is very important. So, kind of sit with that to our amazing listeners. Like, sit with it. Again, I know we threw a lot of different pathways for you to kind of navigate and see like what actually feels good for you. But I hope that a lot of these like tools are supporting you so you can just, again, not in a place of judgment, but just like looking at yourself on where you're at in this season with social media. What's your relationship with it? What's one small step that you can take to maybe just decrease whatever it is that you're feeling, right? All those icky stuff that we no longer want, and to be able to move in a way where we're living intentionally, where we're being present, where we're actually living our life. That is the win of all of it. So that's kind of the intention of where we're going at, because it is important to release those things, because those things, being the surrender coach, I'm just kidding. Just
Yeah.
release the things that no longer serve you and that aren't allowing you to live the life that you truly want, right? Like, you get to live this life on your own terms, create whatever it is that you want. And so, if it means releasing certain things, releasing certain followings that aren't serving you and your mental well being, like, it's okay to just release. And, everything's going to work out the way it needs to as you keep flowing with more alignment and with more intentionality. So, and being just more present, because the living present piece is what's going to give you the quality of life that you want.
I
So,
love that piece, and I think that's the piece that really stands out to me, and I think really resonates with me because I feel like before social media, I felt like that's just how I lived my life, and not that I wasn't living my life like that when I was on
yeah.
Instagram, but it was very different. I have always been a very private person, and so social media really helped me grow in that aspect of like, okay, now I'm showing this piece of me that people don't really know about, and I'm being vocal about things, and I'm like showing my life. And that is something that I never ever used to do. And leaving social media has really helped me come back to that. I love privacy. I love my private life. I love being present, and I think that it was something that I forgot that I loved about myself. And also, I just wanna say, like, social media isn't bad, right? Like, there are
No,
so
yeah.
many pros to social media. The 3 of us met on social media. Social
Yes.
media just, like, allows people to connect who maybe we would never, ever, ever meet, and I feel like there were so many great things that I took from social media, and at the same time, I feel like it's the present piece of, like, now I get to just enjoy my coffee without having to, like, take a picture of it, or enjoy my smoothie
Yes,
without having to take a picture of it, or, like, do you know what I mean? And, like, again, there's
100%.
nothing wrong with that, like, that was fun, and, like, I feel like it's if you do that, like, continue to do that if it brings you joy, right? But I feel like if it doesn't bring you joy, and it's, like, also reflecting on, like, "Why am I doing this? What
Mhm.
is the purpose behind it?" And so, again, it goes back to, like, what we've been talking about, around, like, being intentional. What is the
Mhm.
reason behind posting, doom scrolling, following certain people, whatever it is, right? So,
Yeah.
that really resonated.
I'm glad. I felt that. I felt it as you mentioned it, even the excitement and coming back to home to ourselves. That's important because, again, like being easily distracted on what the world is telling us to do, how to live, what's the next thing, and yada yada. Like we lose that essence of coming back home to ourselves. And it sounds like that's exactly what you got to experience, and you keep continuing to experience that, these. So it just shows, right? Like you can have that balance, finding it out what that means for you, and then also giving yourself the invitation to say, you know what, like I get to rediscover myself in all of this entire process and come back home to me. Because that's even the essentials of a spring cleaning, right? When we think about doing it in our homes, like when we're releasing the clothes, que ya no nos queda, it doesn't fit us, or we put it on and we're like, well, what the heck was I thinking when I bought the outfit or whatever, right? Or even old items in your home where you're like, it doesn't bring me much joy anymore, right? It's the same thing when we're connecting it to social media, right? Like clean it up as much as you need to, release the people that aren't serving you in the best ways possible, where they're bringing value to your life or entertainment or whatever is important to you in the season, right? Like be able to do all of that because you have the right to actually release things that no longer serve you without having to feel validated or need permission to do so. Like you get to create this quality of life that you want, and that includes with technology as well. So why not do that? Especially because you still have a choice, and we want to empower you to keep doing that. Because no one should hold on to things that makes them feel icky or doesn't feel in alignment to who their soul being is. Like, nah, like we're all trying to create a quality of life here. And so I hope that this is a great reminder for you all to do that. Like, you deserve quality versus quantity, and you deserve to feel peace over the doubt and chaos or uncertainty. Like, you don't need none of that. So I hope that serves you for whoever needs it.
I love those points because I was just thinking about like myself too. And I'm like, it's this idea that, oh, I should be on social media because that's what's expected. But at the end of the day, this is the phase I'm in, and this is the phase I want to be in, which is not be on it as constant, right? You said bring it back home. I also just want to piggyback and remind everyone that it's okay to change, it's okay to be allowed to want something different now. The same way Edie's just explained the clothing, that's exactly where I was gonna go with, because there's a year that you're like, oh my God, pink was my color, and now you're like, what was I thinking? And that's okay. The same way we go through those phases is the same way we're gonna go through it in life and anything, whether that's careers, relationships, social media, whatever. Like we're
Your
not
hair.
there's yeah, your hair. Like
Your
there's
friends, your relationships,
Mhm.
your
And
job, sorry.
yeah, no, and totally, it's so true. I remember one time we asked with Paul, my fiance, we were like, "What is constant?" And we're like, "Nothing is ever constant." Like even ourselves, the only I think I said the only thing that's ever constant is change.
Oh,
Yes. Yes.
hold on. I'm like, let me spin. Woo! That was so good. Lupe. Oh my gosh.
It's
I'm
true.
mind blown. That
Yeah,
was good.
I love that, and I feel like when we're thinking about spring cleaning, right, it's like thinking about, like, all the things in your life, like, what needs cleaning in your life?
Yes.
What have you outgrown, right? Think going back to,
Mhm.
like, your clothes, what have you outgrown that needs a fresh start, right? And, like, I love that we're going into a new month. May is, like, a new month full of opportunities, full of, like, freshness and, like, thinking about what do you need to change in your life, right? Is it your clothes, right? Is it something in your home, or is it something a little bit deeper? Like
Mm,
again, your relationships, your work environment, home environment, your daily habits, right? It goes back to like everything that we've kind of been talking about throughout this season.
yeah.
100%. And I think that's amazing that you mentioned it because remember, guys, we don't need to wait for the change for the new year or anything like that. The change can happen at any point. That's why we're bringing this up as well because you might find yourself in 2 weeks from now where you're like, I'll finally do some spring cleaning. It might be summer, it might be fall or lo que sea,
Yeah.
but you can do that at any point, right? Kind of like Lupe just gave us permission that we can change, evolve at any time and invite it more in your life because we don't have to stay constant. Even if you have things that have tags, you guys, you can return the item because you're like, you know what? I don't really like it anymore. Go return it. Like, let this be your sign to return. Go donate, go do whatever you need. Evaluate your relationships, like Tati said too, because remember, it's not just the physical items that sometimes we need to release. Sometimes it's the people in our lives where we need to lovingly have a distance from them, or sometimes it is making that decision of saying, you know what, like this person no longer aligns in the path that I'm going, and I have to let them go. Like I have to let them live their life so I can continue to live my own life. And how empowering is that? Like how empowering it is for you to actually navigate life in that way because you are allowing yourself to actually like put on those wings that you need so you can fly and evolve and get to the places that you need to go to much quicker than just staying stagnant in one place and stuck. So I know the doubt will be real because sometimes we're kind of like, oh my gosh, like, am I really ready to let go of that? Just listen to your guys' heart, your intuition, y'all, because your inner wisdom, you already know the answer. We can tell you everything here possible to be like, oh, this is how you can trust yourself. Yes, we could do that. But I feel like you as the listeners already know what that is. So trust it. Trust that when you see that piece of clothing where you're like, I don't really like it, trust that, right? Thank it. Like, I don't know if you guys know Marie Kondo, but she was
Yeah.
big in 2020. And I love her
Yeah.
concept of being able to release with gratitude if that's what you need to feel more at peace. Like, you can do that with physical items, with people, right? You don't have to physically tell that person either. Like, you could just say that within yourself, write it in a letter, let it go, do whatever you need to do. But release it because at the end of the day, we don't need those things to hold us back, whether it's social media, none of that. Like you have the right to continue your path, to evolve. And again, it's about creating that quality of life for you to be present, for you to actually live it. So I hope that as you think about that, like please just evaluate where you're at and you'll be more than okay. I want to reassure someone like as you release, you will be more than okay.
One of my favorite quotes is, oh my gosh, I just forgot it. Hold on one
Stay
second.
with the Tati.
Brain work. Wait, you just said that and it reminded me of a quote. Oh, it's going to be okay, and if it's not the end. Wait, something like that. Do you guys know that quote?
No.
If everything will be okay in the end, and if it's not okay, then it's not the end yet. Something along those lines.
That's
I don't know if
good.
that's exactly how it goes, but that reminded what you just said reminded me of that quote.
That's good. I like that. See, you guys, it's not the end, so we're good. You'll be good.
Fun.
You will be more than okay. That was good, Tati. Ooh, that was good.
I love that. And then, as you said, quote, I picked up my little yogi tea bag here, and you know how they have quotes on it?
Yes, read
Oh
it.
my God. It says, what can you appreciate in this moment? So I
Ooh,
encourage everyone listening, even us, what can you appreciate in this moment, in this season of yours, and expand on that.
I love that.
I love that, you guys.
Yogi teas are so wise. They always have the best quotes.
They do. What are the odds, right? Like that's such a full circle,
Uh-huh.
synchronous like moment that just happened right there. That is wild. Wow, I'm receiving that.
Hmm.
That is a good one. Oh my gosh, you guys. Well, is there any final words that we want to tell our listeners that maybe another encouraging word, or should we wrap it up right there? Because I don't know, that T just dropped some wisdom too.
Yogi
Yeah.
tea, my friends, yogi tea.
Take your yogi tea. This isn't sponsored, by the way, but it should be.
Yes. So, Yogi, if you're listening,
Yogi, if you're
Yogi.
listening.
hey. Oh my gosh, ladies. Well, I hope that this episode served you. I hope that it not only allowed you to think and start thinking about the things that you want to release in your life, on whether it's social media, relationships, all of that good stuff. But I hope that this message really tapped into your heart energy, your soul energy, because remember, again, like, we are here to encourage each and one of you guys to not just only be lit, but to keep transforming in your journey, because remember, transformation leads to that expansiveness and that evolution and that ever-knowing journey of getting to rediscover who you are. So we hope that this gave you everything that your soul needed, and we'll tune in to our last episode of the season, y'all, for Lit podcast. Like, it's been such an amazing journey with you all, but don't worry, we'll come back. We'll give you guys more direction on what's happening for season 2. But until then, remember to stay lit, and we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining us today on LUPE Podcast. We hope this conversation has ignited a spark within you so that you keep embracing your journey.
Remember, transformation takes time, but every step brings you closer to the life you're meant to live. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share, and leave a review.
Let's continue this journey together. Until next time, stay lit and keep transforming.